we are going to discuss the situational influences on the ethical decision making. So, what we have classified earlier, we find there could be two types of factors which are related with the situational factors, subcategories. One is the issue related factor and the other is the context related factor. In the issue related factors, we have two factors, that is of moral intensity and moral framing, and in the context related factors, we have rewards, authority, bureaucracy, work roles, organizational culture and the national context. We will be discussing each of these factors separately now. Moral intensity is which it talks of like when there is a particular issue at hand and it relates more to an issue getting recognized as a moral issue. Any issue, when it has to be recognized as a moral issue, it gets recognized only when there are certain intensity in that issue. If the intensity is high, then it gets recognized as a moral issue. If the intensity is low, then it does not catch the attention and people do not become aware of that issue as a moral issue. Now, let us see that what are the factors based on which the intensity of a situation may vary, intensity of an issue may vary and create differences in the intensity of an issue in terms of moral intensity. So, first is the magnitude of consequences. If we find that a particular issue at hand or the actions that we are the consequences of our action, then a wide variety of our consequences affecting many stakeholders at a time, then it gets recognized as a moral issue, intense issue. If we find the implications of our actions have high social consequences and people's life, ways of living gets disturbed too much by the disparities are created in the society, in a word, it is a high social consequence, then the intensity becomes high. Probability of effect. If there is more probability, like the consequences of my action is going to harm people, if the probability is high, then it becomes an issue of moral intensity. If the negative effect is going to occur, if the harm is going to occur immediately, means whatever we are doing now, the result of it is going to, whether positive or negative, mostly will be we are more concentrating here on the negative aspect, because we are when somebody recognizes an issue as a moral issue, the focus is more on the harm produced and what the company has done to reduce the harm part. So, if it is a temporal immediacy in the terms of like if a harm is done, then when does it follow? Immediately after the action, then it is a temporal immediacy. Proximity is this proximity to one's own self, means if I find like the people who get affected by it or by my decisions or the issue at hand about what has been talked of, like these are things which are very close to what I can identify with, then this becomes it gains in moral intensity. And concentration of effect, if the effect of my action is concentrated in deeply concentrated in one place or for one stakeholder, and it is a deeper implication, then we take this to be a very moral intense issue, because if it is a very long term implication, and if it the like it is covering a majority of people, then we talk of it is having a greater concentration, and that we need to look into it. So, these factors generate the moral intensity of the increases the moral intensity of the problem. Moral framing is when we are talking of how the issue is represented so that it gets recognized as a moral issue, and also people find like they become want to act for it. So, moral framing has its implication at the recognition stage and at the intention to act stage also. So, when you are talking of moral framing, it is how the same problem or dilemma can be perceived in very different lights according to the way that it has been presented and the way that it has been framed. So, a same problem can be viewed in two different ways based on how it is framed, and the words, like the positive words or negative words that has been used to frame the moral issue. So, persuasive communication plays a major role here in when you are talking of moral framing. However, moral muteness is where the business people would like to keep not use morally like inclined words, either positive or negative, in an effort to remain amoral, and then because they feel like if they are expressing moral words, or if they are trying to frame situations with a particular moral frame, then it may be detrimental to the harmony of the organization, the efficiency of the people in managing the situations may become questioned, and they can think of like their effectiveness may come to question, and they may lose their power so of deciding, and it may create ripples throughout in the organization and to its different stakeholders. So, these are the threats, perceived threats of harmony, efficiency, and power and effectiveness could be detrimental to the image of the power and effectiveness that they are having in the shareholders and other stakeholders' mind. So, for these reasons, they may try to keep silent about the issues at hand, and they may try to deny through various mechanisms of denial to just take up moral responsibilities of the action and the consequences of that action. So, some of these denial mechanisms are, like we can talk of denial of responsibility. So, managers can tell, the authority can tell, we are not responsible, we have not done this thing for any consequences formed. This is denial of responsibility. Second could be denial of injury. We definitely know it is a claim, we definitely know we have taken proper measures to control the harm and proactive measures to control the harm, and we know we have not harmed anyone. This is the claim. So, this is denial of injury. Third could be denial of victim, where the organization tells you just cannot tell like you have been harmed, you deserved to be treated in that way because you are that sort of person. So, please do not tell I have harmed you. So, this is denial of victim. Other types of denial responses are social weighing, where the organization is going to tell there are other people who are worse than me even, so please do not tell I have done something wrong. So, this is the attitude that the organization has. So, where we are talking of social weighing. Other type of denial response is showing higher loyalties, like I know that maybe I have harmed some people, or some I have sacrificed the need of someone, but this is done in the interest of a bigger interest that we are looking into, bigger interest that all the people's needs will be answered to. So, for the cause of some bigger purpose, we have overlooked or sacrificed the need of a smaller few. This is called like when you are trying to show for higher loyalty. So, you are speaking of higher order values, putting them in front and trying to show like for your dedication for those higher order values, that is you denied your responsibility to some smaller groups or minorities and sacrificed their needs. And another is a metaphor of leisure, where for doing something wrong or taking some relaxations, you can tell please look into the contributions that I have made, and in lieu for the contribution that I have made, I can demand this, like I take this relaxation. Suppose you are surfing internet in your organization during your office hours, and you can tell, see, I am the best performer, I have performed well beyond even your expectations, and because I have that performed in that way, I can take the liberty, I can enjoy the liberty of surfing through internet during office hours in the office computer. So, these type of things are called like metaphors of leisure. So, these are some of the denial mechanisms that the managers may take in order to defend their actions and so show that they have not done something wrong, and they should not be framed, issues should not be framed in so that they appear guilty for their actions. The other context related factors which affect ethical decision making are like, first is the system of rewards. So, when some effort to adherence to ethical principles and stands less chance of being repeated, and so what is right in the corporation is not what is right in the home. So, what is right is what the guy above you wants from you. So, this type of thing, when things get rewarded by the organization, so which things, the things that get rewarded by the organization people try to link it up to the facts, like okay, the organization is rewarding it, and then probably this is the way that the organization wants us to behave also. If you remember in the last discussion, today's earlier discussion, we were focusing on the cognitive moral development, and in the first pre-conventional stage, when we were talking of obedience and rewards and punishment, we were talking of like a child determines what is right and wrong based on the rewards received for doing right and avoiding punishment, not getting punished for doing like to avoid that punishment or getting punished for doing something wrong. That links you to the reward orientation of interpreting what is right and wrong as per standards determined by the person who is either rewarding or punishing. So, this quote is what is right in the corporation is what the guy above you wants from you, is an interpretation based on this reward orientation. Authority and bureaucracy. So, authority is people do what they are told to do or what they think they are being told to do. So, this is the fact, like people believe, like this also talks of the if you remember, we were discussing about the whether corporates are morally responsible or the individuals are responsible for making decisions. Then when we are talking of the reward system present, as we just discussed, we are talking of the systems present in the organizational design itself, policies itself, which facilitates or gives hindrances to your ethical or unethical behavior. So, when you are talking of this bureaucracy and authority, here we also are focusing on the individual's role and the organization's role in the determining what is the organization's and the individual's responsibility in facilitating or hindering the somebody wanting to be ethical or not ethical in a particular situation, deciding on what is ethical or not ethical in a particular situation. So, reward system belongs to the prevailing reward system, and what gets rewarded by the guys. One is a reward system established, and who establishes is based on what. This authority also focuses towards that what is the leadership style and what they think the leadership will like or not like in when interpreters what is right and wrong. So, it somewhat focuses towards the individual, but when you are talking of bureaucracy, it is the organizational system in place, the design per se, which tells like which facilitates or hinders ethical decision making. And as we see, like it talks of suppression of moral autonomy, instrumental morality, distancing and denial of moral status. These are certain things, like because in bureaucracy, if there is a very like tall structure happening, then you do not have, and everything is well formalized, well written, there is a top down approach, like from top the decisions are coming, then there is less of autonomy on your part to decide in a particular way as you feel like, because your hands are tied and you have to move by the way that it has been pre-decided by the organization in terms of do's and don'ts, that you can do, that you cannot do. So these type of things, and then it becomes a sort of, you are asked to do something and then you reciprocate back to it, so it becomes a part of instrumental morality, and it creates a power distance is there. So you are distant from the maybe the how, where to go, how to report, to whom to report about certain things happening. So these type of things may happen in case of bureaucracy, and that's how it may have a negative effect on ethical decision making. So work roles and organizational norms and culture. Here also you find work roles can encapsulate a whole set of expectations about what to value, how to relate to each other, how to behave. So these are the role expectations that are set by the role standards too, and you have to follow these instructions, guidelines given, and these can be either these role responsibilities, work roles can either be in the horizontal nature or it can be in the hierarchical, which order to follow, whom to report to, whom you are accountable to, what to value, how to behave with whom. All these are stated expectations given to you. So other is the organizational norms and culture, which tells you this is what is accepted in the organization, this is the organizational culture. If you follow it, if you survive within the organization, if you are not following it, you are not surviving in the organization. So like example, ways of talking, acting, dressing, thinking, ways of like adhering to the culture, yes or no. So there is group norm which is set, which talks about the acceptable standards of behavior within the work community. So the total organizational culture and also the work roles, the role expectations that are sent from the role sender to the role receiver, these tells about, gives a boundary to, defines a framework of how you are expected to behave in that particular, with relevance to that particular role and with relevance to that particular organization. The national and the cultural context, as we have already discussed earlier, the culture of the place that you are in, the nation that you are in, based on Hofstede's research, we have seen has an impact on the ways that you are thinking, the ways that you are relating to each other through its like individualism, collectivism, power distance, tolerance of uncertainty, then it's how it's relating to time and other factors, as you have seen in the Hofstede's model. These have an impact on how you are interpreting what is right and wrong with respect to that particular situation. So it gives you a guiding framework. So cultures definitely have an like effect on deciding what is right and wrong in a particular situation, and that colors your individual's ways of thinking also. So what we have discussed today in summary is the various stages and influences in ethical decision making process in business. We have presented with basic model of decision making. So we have also outlined individual and situational influences on ethical decision making, suggested some of the individual factors like cognitive moral development, nationality and personal integrity are clearly influential in how individual making decisions, suggested that in terms of recognizing ethical problems and actually doing something in response to them, the situational factors are also playing most important role in influencing how you are recognizing a problem and whether you decide to respond to it or not respond to it. If respond to it, in what way or not. Situational factors are playing major role over here also. Thank you.